Childhood bully arrested. I got my childhood bully arrested. He was bullied repeatedly by this guy when we were kids. I saw on his social media profile he was arrested because his profile picture was of him in one of those visiting cells. I also noticed his last name in the account wasn't the same as when we were kids. I wondered why, so I looked up his original name on the arrest warranty registry and there was indeed an arrest warrant out for him. It matched his birth date. I reported his social media and name change anonymously and got 1,000 from his arrest. My county has an anonymous online report system that gives you a confirmation number to follow up on, and you submit that confirmation number to a location if it results in an arrest. To this day, no one knows I ratted his alias to the police. I guess y'all can say his debt has been paid. Pro tip: never be such a prick that random people have a vested interest in screwing you over. Haha, years ago I decided to look up my childhood bully and found out he was doing 10 years for aggravated battery. I just smiled and thought to myself, yep, sounds about right. That is some creative revenge. Good for you, making out of it. Cheated, deported, cheat on me and bragged to your friends. Enjoy deportation. He met this girl, 22 at the time, while I, 30 meters at the time, was working in a national park and she was a housekeeper on a work visa. We instantly hit it off, and within a month we were in a relationship. We even had a solid long distance arrangement, where we would visit each other on recreational visas in our respective off seasons. I'd spend a few months in Romania or meet her at some vacation destination, then she'd spend a few months in the States. This went on for about 2 years and eventually the conversation came up with her family about possibly moving her to the States permanently. Romania never really recovered from the Ceausescu, and political economic corruption makes life pretty unpleasant for a lot of people. Her marrying and moving to the US meant that her mum wouldn't have to worry about her daughter having a good life. I arranged for sponsorship and proposed to her. It seemed like my dreams were coming true. Then, about a month after she's all settled in, I get a message from her best friend back home. What followed were a year's worth of screenshots wherein she bragged about conning me into paying for her residency, while she cheated on me with 8 different men. In her friend's words, "You are a good man and you don't deserve this." So, over the following 2 weeks, I reported her to ICE and Homeland Security for a conversation her brother and I had over a bottle at one point. He bragged about how he had done time in prison for smuggling weapons to Turkish terrorists, and how she had been his lookout on several occasions. As you might imagine, in the war on terror days, this was not taken lightly. She was immediately arrested and deported, and put on a permanent no-entry terror watch list. Want to take advantage of me and cheat, have fun, never being able to come back to the States. Edits to address potential misinformation on my part. I'm not very well versed in European social politics, so I was under the impression that her past along with her brother's would result in as much difficulty as it did here. I was misinformed, so thanks to everyone who set the record straight as far as her job prospects overseas. Did you ever hear from her after she got deported? Oh yes. Both of her brothers, most of her cousins all sending many threats, and her mum congratulating me and saying she could use a son like me. The mother's approval and the friend's respect. Well done, my guy. Few know such justice. I salute you. So yeah, getting his own mother to call out fire entire family, that's quite a feat, and their best friend to call her out specially. Damn, you must be a good dude. Marry her mum for the ultimate power move and then post the update and ring a clear revenge mayo. You should sponsor her best friend just to rub it in her face some more. You know, we joked about it too. She said that if she wasn't already married, she'd do it just to spite her. Spite bonding. Now there is a foundation for a future. Husband and I have been together almost 20 years and we love nothing more on our anniversary than to have a toast to everyone who said we would never last. Spite petty has been the perfect combo for our relationship. Lol. Talking as a Romanian, these people should be taken from Romania and slapped smack in the middle of the Black Sea. People like this woman made us appear as criminal to go into marriage only to ensnare people. Screw them. Rant ended. Now I will go recover my lost episodes of Star Wars and I said in another comment, I hope to meet a Romanian woman in the future that has better values. I'm absolutely in love with your culture. Well, and this means basically fucked getting any decent job, since I'm sure the US shares those lists with EU countries. As far as I know, it means fucked getting a job in any of the Schengen Pact countries, not just the EU. ETA relevance. Apparently there's much less severe consequences for someone in her position in the EU than in the US. I stand corrected. Smash that like button. It's your prerogative. Mother-in-law madness. Mill tried to make us jealous but ended up getting jealous herself. He was going to post this on just normal but feel like it fits better here. Mill has always been bitter that I took her son away from her. She's the queen of negging and I am often her number one target. She loves to make me jealous. Sends pictures of her new cars. Sends pictures of her new house. Sends pictures of her designer handbags etc saying isn't it great I can afford all this. Mill didn't invite us on vacation last summer. She invited and paid for her other son, his GF and Theg's sister to go. She bought them designer souvenirs and sent us pictures every day of their vacation captioned I bet you're so jealous. Not 3 months after she excluded us from her vacation my parents invited us on their vacation. We accepted. Mill was furious. Jealousy is not a good look on her. She threw a tantrum saying that she was losing her little boy and that she wanted to be the best mum in the world. She was so jealous that my mother is getting more attention than her. She cried about how she never sees us and how we valuation blatant favoritism towards my parents. The best bit of all this, it was at this moment so decided to tell her that we are moving 5 hours away to my parents' city. Wanted to be the best mum in the world but didn't invite son and his wife I want to be look like the best mum in the world FTFY. Sounds just like my sister's Mill. She cried when they declared that no, they're not moving back to our dumpy Midwestern home state but that they are moving to where my parents and I live. Oh boy, she was livid. My Bill told her during a visit with just him and my nephew and apparently she bawled her eyes out on Mayo. So much so, that she took to wearing sunglasses the entire time they were there to hide her red eyes. The best part my nephew was a toddler at this point, so saw a dog with sunglasses on and proclaimed just like Granny oh Lord West'll tell this story and it's never not hilarious. I moved across an ocean to another country to be with my wife. My mother said, I didn't have my children so that they would leave me. Like, did you have them with the intention they'd led their own lives? Obviously not. Sounds like Mill doesn't know how to gain affection except by buying it. Sounds like she actually expected you to respond to her tormenting by begging to be included next time. What a messed up person. Not only does she think the way to getting affection is to buy it, she isn't even doing that right. I mean, what sane person deliberately excludes her son and Dill from a family vacation, texts them pictures of the vacation daily, and thinks that will somehow make son and Dill want to be around her? On what planet does this make sense? OP. And her husband are doing themselves a favor by moving 5 hours away. That might not even be far enough but it's a start. And at least they'll be near Arp's parents who actually are nice to them. Play stupid games. Win stupid prizes. You will probably be better off around a more supportive family. Especially if you have kids. NTA. Edit I put NTA like this was an ATA post. Ultimate walk of shame. Bad boyfriend takes the walk of ultimate shame from a good friend who lives in South America. Not my story, hers. This happened about 16 years ago. My friend, let's call her Maria, had been dating a guy called Oscar for 2.5 years or so when she found out on the grapevine. If you live in a small town, you'll understand that Oscar had betrayed her, had been to a party, got a girl drunk and slept with her. News of his actions had spread as gossip does. The worst part of it was that it seemed that it wasn't the first time that it had happened by a long shot. Well, Maria heard and plotted revenge. She invited him to her flat for a special afternoon of fun with her and her friend Vanessa. Oscar could not resist temptation so he went. Picture the scene. He goes into the building where she lives, gets into the lift to go up to the 10th floor to get to her apartment. He rings the bell. He can hear music playing from behind the door. She opens the door and he walks in. And sees that both his girlfriend Maria and her friend Vanessa are there, each wearing a sexy silk negligee. Maria is holding a blindfold and tells him to wear it. He agrees, and she puts it on him and tells him to strip naked. Willie was busy. Vanessa put her clothes back on, walked out the apartment, leaving a doorstop to keep the door open, and called the lift. That's an elevator to our Americans. She then walked back in, grabbed Oscar's clothes, and threw them out the window into the car park below. She then left the apartment and went down the stairs, ringing doorbells as she descended. Maria had been leading Oscar around the apartment, disorienting him, and then let him out the apartment, closed the door behind her and got in the lift alone. calling him an unfaithful asshole whose clothes are in the car park before the lift doors closed. Askar ripped off the blindfold and must have realized how fucked he was, as he had to walk down 10 flights of stairs, buck naked, passing laughing neighbors all the way. He collected his clothes and Maria never saw him again. Edit for clarity: Maria went on the lift alone and held it open on the ground floor. Neighbors on the 10th floor had come out to see Oscar, setting him to walk down Festus, thereby making it worse as Vanessa was going down the stairs, alerting as many people as possible. Also, people followed him outside, so he had to dress with an audience. The humiliation: TLDR, girl makes unfaithful boyfriend take the ultimate walk of shame. Naked past laughing neighbors. I was in the pool, it's cold, women know about shrinkage, right? One could call this petty, but a 10-floor walk of shame is absolutely brutal. If he got a girl drunk and then slept with her, then that's actually rape. Ash would be in no state to consent. I hope she's okay. I know, in a lot of places it's still isn't thought of as rape. We've got daily vids, please sub. Roommate alarm hypnosis. I secretly trained my roommate to not respond to his morning alarms. Reposting from a post I made in our Amith asshole. I was in college senior year. My roommate was a sophomore, but it was his first time living in a dorm. Had been a pretty lousy roommate. Constantly left the room a mess. Left his stuff on my side of the room and on my bed. Stole my alcohol. Used my shit without permission. Never clean up me dishes after he used them, and a bunch of other stuff. I confronted him about all these issues on several occasions and got the resident advisor involved with alcohol stealing issue because at the time, he was under 21. Things still continued anyways. He asked me once if it was okay if his girl spent the night, which I said no. We were in the middle of a pandemic, plus that's especially weird if I was there. I also had to wake up every day at 8 for work, which heck knew, and he would stay up until 2 AM playing video games some nights. Not to mention, he would set like 10 alarms in the morning with a bunch of different alarm tones. I hit a breaking point and decided to do something cruel. Every morning when I woke up, I'd observe his alarm pattern and how he'd respond. He had several alarms that he'd ignore, all with the same sound. He had a couple half-hour alarms that had a unique sound, also ignored, and then the final alarm had its sound too. All of them were default iPhone sounds. So his brain had been trained to this alarm pattern for a while, it assumed. So I started step 1 of punishment: set up a sequence of alarms on my phone, identical to his sequence, but an hour early. He responded to my alarms the exact same way he'd respond to his own. I kept this up for a week, and his brain was eventually trained to sleep through double the amount of alarms as before. Then, Facetwo kicked in random inconsistencies in my alarm pattern. Some days it'd play all the alarms, while other days it'd only play one that his brain was trained to ignore. That way, his brain expects to sleep through like 20 alarms and only overhears 11. He slept through his alarm at least 4 times in 2 weeks. Eventually he finally changed his alarm pattern so he'd only have 1 alarm and he no longer had the energy to stay up until 2 AM. TLDR, I psychologically tortured my roommate by throwing off how his brain responds to his alarm clock because he was stealing booze and was a shitty roommate. You seem like exactly the sort of guy who lives in the dorms as a senior. It was an out-of-state school that I transferred into my junior year. Not to mention, housing was out of budget in that area. I did something similar to a coworker. I would play a video on YouTube of a bell ringing and then I would give him a peanut butter cup. This was over the course of the year at the same time every day. He actually ended up getting a new job so I could never get the conclusion of my experiment. What was funny is that he never once asked me why I kept doing it. I think he was just happy that he was getting candy. Hi, I'd like to sign up to be your roommate. NTA. This is a brilliant display of social Pavlov. You found a peaceful router that would force his hand based on his own actions. I think you could probably write a paper in sociology or psych based on this experience and the premise and implications of the behavior modification, although I would recommend it being in a hypothetical with a willing participant. Thanks for watching.